What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Prop Firm Match, your trusted resource for all things prop firms related. Today is another special day. We have Hunter, who is the founder of Maven, who trade live every day, passing prop firm challenges and sharing that with his community. And today he's going to be sharing with us tips that you need to pass your funding challenges. So Hunter, thank you so much for being with us here today.
Howdy. Yeah, you do that very well. It's nice to be on this side of it.
By the way, we're also going to be doing another giveaway in this video, so make sure you stay to the very end so you can find out exactly how to enter the giveaway. There's a lot of things that traders have questions with and just want guidance and basically pointers in as to how they can get to that next level in their prop firm journey. Before we do get started though, do you want to just tell us a little bit about yourself for those who may not know you?
This will be a perfect person to actually give you feedback on how to pass these challenges. One, I own a prop firm, one of the bigger prop firms, of course, and we've been running for quite a while. So I know all the ins and outs of it. So I know the behind the scenes, and then I also know what it's like to be as a trader.
One of the first questions and one of the most common questions we get in this community are like, what are the best practices for managing a trade live?
What you probably want to do is do your analysis, set an entry where you wait for it and set a stop loss and a target and then walk away. That's what I would recommend if you've not been doing this for years. The problem with that is the stop losses often just get wicked out. You have obviously felt this pain before. They get wicked out and then it goes to your take profit. So a lot of the times I'm actually watching to see where the closes of candles are. So if we're seeing the closes of candles go against you, it's a really strong indication that the trend is actually going to be changing in that direction. There's more caveats to that, but just in a general sense, managing the trade live, I'm going to get out if I'm seeing strong moves to the other direction. And that way I can minimize my risk. On the other side, you do eventually have some bigger losses, right? But it's quite rare.
I love what you said about setting the targets and the stop loss and everything, just walking away. But sometimes you do have these moments where you're in a live trade and, trading conditions are starting to change. I know you say you look for close of candles, but is there anything else you can share regarding that as to like what you can do while the conditions are changing?
Totally. So to add to that, you can notice that the trend actually is always going to change on the lower time frames first. If you're trading on 1 hour or something like this, as you see the candles close closer to the 1 hour close, say the 15-minute closed against your direction, generally that's going to mean that it's still going to continue for the next 15 if that 15-minute closed on the 45-minute. Did that make sense? If there's only one candle close left in the 1 hour, that's going to give you a strong indication that that hourly is actually going to close poorly, and then you can start to get out of that trade. So I'm always flowing with the trade based off of where the candles are closing. And I know I'm giving you a very loose answer here. It's quite difficult to kind of understand what I'm meaning if you're not actually watching me trade. And I'm adding and I'm reducing all the time. I'm just managing the position. And when you're originally asking, okay, what's the best practices for managing your trades live? Well, first of all, as it goes against you, I add to it. But if it doesn't pick up quickly and go into my favor, then you need to start getting out of that trade. And it's a really difficult thing to do. The best way to manage is a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah.
So it's a hard thing to answer.
Another question we get a lot from our community is, what can traders do to increase their chances of passing a prop firm challenge?
Well, first of all, the very obvious one is look at the high time frames, right? To make sure that you're following those trends, right? You always want to follow the trend. The next thing that I do is look at levels that are untested, areas that it hasn't gone to yet, because those are going to be areas that are more likely to be picked up by buyers. And then from there, around that zone, I'll just put it loosely right there. I will put multiple entries because I don't know which one is going to be entered on, right? And if you want to increase your win rate, then what it does is it picks up some of them, and you never know which one it's going to pick up, but it'll DCA you in, so you're going to lower your entry. And I know a lot of people are going to say this is martingale. It's not martingale, as long as you have a set risk amount for those 2-3 trades, right? And you're not continually adding to it, right? So that allows you to, let's say you enter once and then you enter another time, you're able to get out of that first position at break even. So now your average entry is much lower and you have a much higher chance of making profit on that trade. That's what's been able to get me about a 75% win rate. Again, manage the trade live is another factor there, is I'm adding and reducing to those trades.
Another thing that people talk about, and I'm sure you get this all the time, but in your experience or in your opinion, what's the ideal RR or risk to reward ratio?
The reality is I looked at my trade data. I get 1R. That's my average win is equal to my average loss. I would recommend you never go above 2R though. If you're trading on a prop firm and you're watching this as a viewer, do 1 to 2R if you do like trading on R, simply because 2R has the advantage that there are trending markets, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if something is trending, you're going to be able to capture bigger profits, but you do need to make sure your win rate is very high. So you're going to have to pick between the two. Do you want a very high win rate? That's what I do, because
Yeah.
like I panic when I'm not winning. The reality is I'm very emotional. As much as you can see me sitting here cool, calm, I'm freaking out on the inside, right? And that win rate is critical for me to not, cry and run away at the end of the day. You know what I mean? If you're stronger than me, go for the 2R. But more than that, it doesn't make sense on the prop firm because your win rate's going to be too low and you're just going to blow accounts. You're going to churn too fast.
Can you share any tips on how traders can manage their emotions or their psychology, or things they can practice that might help them
Yeah.
at least perform the way they should while they're trading?
You're allowed to panic, but you're not allowed to react to the panic, right? Well, I like to journal, funny enough, but I don't journal anything about trading. I journal how I'm feeling, right? I got a book here actually, and every single night I have a dedicated time at the end of the night, and I create a schedule where I brick my day around, right?
Yeah.
And this might actually be an interesting thought that traders might want to do is in the morning I trade, and then after that I do my meetings, I do my Maven work, and then I do content creation, and then I do activities, and at the end of every single day I reflect and I journal, right? So this way I block my day so that I never think about something else later in the day. This might be useful for your mindset side of things. Is once you're done trading, you don't think about trading anymore and you can move on, and then you can reflect on it later in the evening. And then that way you can kind of reflect as a third party sort of view back on how you're feeling at that time. Trading can kind of be like a very dopamine addiction, right? You're trying to fix that dopamine, right? And you need to be able to manage that in every aspect of life.
100%.
Dead on to that.
So long to figure out that that's the thing that we need to work on. We always work on the strategy first, right?
Yes.
Strategy, then win rate or RR, whatever the case is, all the technical things. And then the last part, which usually takes us the longest to master, is our emotions and things like that. So I really love the fact that you dove into that. When you were talking about that, it kind of reminded me of not just, again, the questions we hear from the community, but for myself as an example, whenever I was approaching that milestone of getting funded or passing the challenge, I was one trade away or a percent away. Sometimes we can sabotage it or do something and put too much stress on it. Is there anything traders can do to adapt or at least maintain that type of consistent progress towards the milestones?
To not blow it at the very end.
Yeah,
right?
basically.
It's on my mind every single time I'm nearly past the challenge or nearly get a payout. I know exactly what you mean. It's one more day, right? It's always one more day. And on the most recent Top Step challenge I did, I was getting close, and the trailing drawdown starts to grow after a while, right? Because you get so far into profit. And I was like, why don't I just, YOLO it, right? Go all in sort of thing. And I ended up making a bunch of money, and I was like, okay, I had some money for the day, all your profit. I'm going to risk all of that profit so that I can make the finish today. And I ended up messing it up and blowing back all that profit. And then I had to slowly snowball back forward. And it really did mess me up. I could have just waited the next day because the trade setup wasn't right. Again, the next week, climbed back up. Friday, this time again, I was like, I want to pass the challenge on Friday. So I started looking for trades, and the market it was screaming at me, don't trade, don't trade. So this time I didn't trade, right? The reality is you're just going to shoot yourself in the foot, and you need to be able to, again, the mindfulness and look at the chart and say, I don't know what to do. And if you ever say, I don't know what to do, you don't trade. And the reality is so many of us, we go into the market, we're like, which direction do I go? Do I go long or short? And that's not what you should be asking yourself. You should be asking yourself, is there a trade today? And so that time I didn't trade on the Friday. Monday comes along, boom, pass the challenge immediately, right? And now I've gotten some payouts from them and everything.
Yeah.
The issue is you're not being mindful with your emotions, and it makes no difference. The market doesn't care how far along you are. I can't stress this enough. The amount that you care is so directly impactful to how much you lose.
And it's so true.
That's why I tell people on streams on Twitter, I remember people got mad at me and I said, treat trading like a hobby. And everyone got mad at me. They said, you'll never make it if you treat it like a hobby. No, you can still apply yourself and work your ass off for this. But the fact that you're doing in your spare time versus all of the time, that's the difference. If it's your everything, then you're going to blow it up. But I come into the market, I'm like, okay, is there a trade today? Yes, no. Okay, move on. No trade today. I'll go work on something else. It sounds so silly for like grown men to be talking about like manage their emotions, recognize how you're feeling in the morning, right? And then
Yeah.
take action based off of your emotions. It sounds crazy. Like most guys watching this, they're gonna say that's ridiculous. By far, the most important thing that ever made me more profitable. You know what I mean?
I agree. Until I fix that emotional aspect, because just like you, when I used to sit in a trade, I'd be panicking. I'd be, we're losing money here. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
even when it was fake money or demo money, it's tied. I don't know how everybody else is, but to my ego. I hate to be wrong. I don't like to lose. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So there was a lot of emotional stress and strain on my trading for no reason. Once I
Yeah.
started to take a step back and, like you said, be aware of those things and block your day out and just kind of manage those things, everything started to fall in place. So
Yeah. Next, you got to try live streaming and have people yell at you when you're wrong.
I bet that's fun.
Yeah. That's a tough one.
And like when I hear you say that too, it makes me think, obviously people are telling you sometimes you're wrong, or people would love to sometimes share their opinions or impose their opinions on you. What, in your opinion, would you say is the best strategy? Because that's one of the number one talking
The
points, right?
best
Everyone's
strategy.
like, yeah, I trade
Oh
this
yeah.
and I trade, all right, let's get into that one.
The best strategy, hey? Yeah, that's the
Yeah.
question I get every single day. This is my take on it. If there's a strategy that is a well-known thing, like I know a lot of people like the SMC, ICT things. I know this is going to get a lot of hate here. None of them work. And if a pattern worked, it would be picked up by all these big bots, all of the banks and financial institutions, all of the retail would be running it, and there would be no leverage over the market anymore. If there's a simple pattern that worked, because all of the volume would be taken out of that, right? It makes it less and less profitable over time, right?
Hmm.
And the more people are using it, basically, you have to create something that's adaptable. I was never able to make something work just based off of strictly following a pattern. After I was adaptable with my strategy, I have some rule sets that I follow, and they're very, very simple. The best strategy, this is my understanding, is first of all, follow the trend. And you need some sort of trend detection mechanism, whether that's a moving average, that's perfectly fine, as long as you can find what direction it's going to go, because it's going to increase your odds. And then you need to find an area where you're going to want to buy. That's as simple as it gets, really. You want to find an area that you're going to buy and then follow the trend. And you just need to be able to manage the trade properly. And that's where it becomes difficult is, okay, when do I get in and when do I get out? How much do I add? How much do I reduce? And the reality is it's just trend following. That's what I do. And the reason why that works is because there's no pattern that other people can emulate. It's just jumping in and out and following what everyone else is doing. And that's what makes the money is by being before everyone else when there's in that trend and then getting out before everyone else.
I think you just dropped heavy gems, especially about that adaptability. That's what I found in the later part of my trading really helped. We have so much to discuss. And for
Yeah.
everybody who's watching here, guys, stay tuned because we might have a part 2. All right, so the moment you've been waiting for, here's exactly what you need to do to enter today's giveaway. You gotta like, subscribe, and answer this question in the comment section below. I asked Hunter what traders can do to increase their chances of passing a prop firm challenge, and you now have to name one of those things in the comment section below. We'll then select a winner from the comment section, so best of luck everybody, and we'll see you in the next video. Where can the people find you if they want to hit you up on your socials or want to contact you or anything like that? Where can they find
Yeah,
you?
trader.hunter on TikTok and Instagram. I still have that YouTube channel that I used to post on. I don't really do anything on there anymore. Hunter_4, the number, on X. I post all on there. I like to give information of how people can pass prop firms. What are the prop firm rules? I do educational videos all for free, just so that people can understand and learn. And I actually would like people to actually make money eventually on prop firms because I think it is a quite lucrative system. So share a little bit of the knowledge I can, because I've been given the knowledge and I'd like to pass it on.
That's amazing. Hunter, thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate you being here today.
Yeah. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And for everybody else watching, thank you so much for watching up until this point. Don't forget to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And as always, we'll catch you guys on the next one. Take care.